Hey guys, it's Mike, and today on the show we're going to talk about a 1967 Vox Cambridge amplifier. Stay tuned. So this is a 1967 Vox Cambridge amplifier, and I picked this up off of Facebook Marketplace a number of years ago. And I was just north of the town I lived in, and saw it advertised, and I thought I'd better have one of those in the studio here. So this one is good little workhorse amplifier, great studio amp. I don't perform with it, but I do use it for recording quite a bit, and it's got just an awesome Vox tone, that jangly, chimey tone that you kind of get out of the Vox amplifiers is very present with this one. It just has a sound of its own, and it's great for doing any types of recordings, but certainly where you don't need a huge amplifier, this does quite nicely. It would be a good pub amplifier too if you were to play a show somewhere like that. So let's learn a little bit about the Cambridge. So in 1964, Fender introduced their widely popular 17-watt all-tube amplifier known as the Princeton Reverb, and it had kind of suggested a link with Ivy League University, Princeton, or an upper echelon guitar amp more than anything. And when Vox released their new amp with the same specs, they decided to do the same thing, and this time called it the Cambridge Reverb. So you have these Ivy League affiliations, let's say, with the guitar names. So the Cambridge Reverb V1032 was introduced in 1967, and this was the final incarnation of this amp. And like the ones that were around the same time, it was a solid-state amplifier and one of the first in the rock and roll realm, and that did provide a different sound and a different tone. And it also became a little bit pricier at the time. This amp would have had a foot switch, and the one I have does not. It's missing the foot switch. And it would have had a chrome stand that you could get for it, which was an additional, I think it was around $250 at the time. And if you kind of add up what that cost then compared to what it would be now, this amp would have been around, in nowadays dollars, around $2,000. So the Vox Cambridge Reverb were licensed by Jennings Musical Industries in Dartford, Kent in England, and were produced by the Thomas Organ Company in California in the United States for the North American market. They were a great little amplifier, and you can tell by the serial number when yours was produced. And if it starts with a 10, like mine, that was 1967. If it starts with an 11, it was 68, and a 12, 69, and that tells you kind of the production run. So this was the first of the Cambridge Reverb solid state amps. They were tube amps before that, and they came with the Celestion 10-inch speaker that Vox is known for, and they were, at that time, they're called the Gold Bulldogs. Here's a picture of the inside of what this one looks like. Well, the Cambridge comes with a few features that are very good for a little amplifier like this. It comes with just an easy treble and bass and volume, 2 channels. And then on the other side, we have a reverb and also tremolo settings, and you've got your depth and speed for the wave of the tremolo, which is pretty cool. It makes for a nice functioning amplifier that can do an awful lot of things. So I love collecting old vintage amps and guitars and things, and sometimes they're just really well suited for certain jobs that you're doing. And for this one, the Rickenbacker guitar sounds fantastic. And play through the Cambridge. The Cambridge also takes pedals fairly well. Good for studio stuff, good for that type of recording. It's certainly a light, small amp that you can, put anywhere, and it sounds great. It can really crank as well, and it has the 17 watts, so you can overdrive it. It sounds really good and effective that way too. I just really like it. I think it's a great amp. If you do happen to come across one, I really would recommend and encourage picking one up. They're sort of a unique sounding amp, but they give you that sort of Vox AC15 sound. in a classic solid state. And the newer Vox Cambridge is a modeling amp, and they've kind of kept the name around, but it's not the same amplifier by a long shot. So this is a completely different animal to that one. But this is the original 1967 solid state Vox Cambridge. Well, that's going to do it for today, guys. If you like collectibles and collectible content, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. This is a brand new channel, and on this show we talk about all types of collectibles, including rock and roll memorabilia, records, vintage instruments and guitars and things like that, amplifiers like today, as well as sports memorabilia, sports cards, vintage antiques, pop culture items, and more. And if you like that sort of stuff, give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you down the road. Keep on collecting.